For the wrestling fans.
Give me a hell yeah!
By wrestling fan.
Ooh, yeah!
Not your average in your mom's basement podcast.
Broadcast weekly.
You are listening to Into the Squared Circle podcast.
Now here is your host.
GB's here of Into the Squared Circle podcast, and welcome to another episode of Into the Squared Circle podcast. All right, let's get this bad boy started. But before I continue on, follow me on my social media platforms at Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram, Into the Squared Circle podcast or Into the Squared Circle pod. So I'm also, if you're a new listener, give me a little bit of love by subscribing to the feed if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and more. Give me a 5-star review. Like this son of a gun. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your uncle, tell the stranger walking down the street. Listen to Into the Square Circle podcast. By the way, if you have a specific request on any previous pro wrestling shows or pay-per-view, it's available on Peacock, that's available on YouTube. Drop me a DM, send me a direct message personally, and then we'll love to review it, watch it, and maybe we'll have a classic rewind type of episode in the near future. I do have a specific a show coming from a request on Facebook. Again, feel free to drop me a direct message, and again, as long as it's available on video, I'd be more than happy to watch it. An independent show, you name it, as long as it's available. All right, good deal. What are we going to talk about on this episode? What are we going to talk about? Monday Night Raw. That's right. It was a Raw 3 hours of my life, and I'm glad that I DVR'd it and skipped through the bad stuff. But we'll talk about Monday Night Raw, and then a little program update for the next episode. We'll talk about AEW Dynamite. This went down this past Wednesday, or at least coming up. We'll talk about that. But that's that. Well, let's talk about now. Monday Night Raw. Let's get this party started. All right, let's talk about Monday Night Raw this past Monday, April 10th on the USA Network, of course, live in the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington. Raw rolls on. Then, now, forever together. Horrible, right? Don't quit your day job, G. Okay, Raw kicks off. When we get Rey Mysterio comes out. Booyaka, booyaka. Out comes Rey Mysterio. Calls the Judgment Day's selfish idiots. Yeah, that's how we kick off Raw. And Dominic comes out and get awesome heat because nobody likes Dominic Mysterio now. But the question I have is for you, the listeners. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. But do you agree that this Dominic and Ray segment's long done? It's done. I mean, we saw Ray whooped Dominic's ass at WrestleMania. Do we need to see this story continue? My personal opinion, again, my personal opinion, nobody else. Right now, I don't want to see this feud no more. Hit the reset button. This is why the Raw after WrestleMania was a little ucky. I didn't like it. Raw after WrestleMania. There was a lot of questions. It's supposed to be a hard reset, okay? The only storyline that should get a free pass to continue on is the Bloodline. But even with that, you should change it up and tweak it up a little bit. Swerve the people a little bit. But this shouldn't continue on. Ray should move on to something else. But instead, they're going to keep him with the Judgment Day still. And they gave him a match on Raw against Finn Balor. And I tell you what, it's a nice little competition for Ray. Again, similar height, weight class, and both men, phenomenal to watch. Finn Balor looked great, of course. Not a lot of people's a big fan of his, but I'm a big fan of his. But nonetheless, Finn Balor gave Rey Mysterio a coup de grace and defeated Rey Mysterio. So what do you guys think about this Rey Mysterio, man? He's been getting beaten. He's getting his ass beat each and every week. Now, he got his big win at WrestleMania, went to the Hall of Fame, and then come back on the Raw after WrestleMania and get defeated by Austin Theory. Now he's getting defeated by Finn Balor. Who else he's going to lose next week? Next Monday, he's going to face Damian Priest and lose against him, or lose against Shush Boy, Chad Gable, and Otis. No offense if anybody's a big fan of that, but I'm not a fan of those guys. Look, Chad Gable's great. He's an athlete. I like him. He looks like a star, but get rid of that shush gimmick, man. I feel ashamed. Okay, let's talk about the Raw Women's Championship match. This one shocked a lot of fans. I was hoping this would happen a lot earlier, like WrestleMania, but they chose to wait 2 weeks after WrestleMania. Thank you, WWE. They hurt my WrestleMania predictions numbers. Okay, Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. She came down as a champion versus Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. Both teams look okay. Look pretty good. During this match, I kind of somewhat zoned out because myself can't sit still, and decided to go wash dishes and came back, and the match was pretty much almost done. There was a, let's see, look at here at my notes here, Liv Morgan with the code breaker as she's going for the Oblivion, but Becky reverses into a manhandle slam. She goes for a cover, but Raquel drags Becky to the outside of the ring. Trish is tagged in. Becky with the right hand onto Raquel on the outside. Trish goes for a kick, but Liv ducks and rolls, and Trish, she rolls her up and gets the pin. So you believe that, right? And I didn't believe that, but gosh darn it. Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan defeated Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. They're now the new WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. How about that? And I called this out on my WrestleMania predictions. I was hoping that team will break up at WrestleMania, but they decided to break them up because what happened was Trish attacked Becky Lynch. Fans are wondering, why? Why, Trish? Why would you do that? We love you. I'm not sure why Trish did it. I mean, she was upset. Apparently she was upset that she lost and decided to attack Becky. What happened to Lita? I don't know. She never came out. I assume this team is probably broken up now. So, yeah, I predicted this at WrestleMania, but it didn't happen at WrestleMania, and they decided to do it on Monday Night Raw. Maybe they had plans to give the titles to Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. Maybe they weren't planning on giving the Damage Control. I don't know, but that's what happened. Okay, so there was a backstage segment with Kathy Kelly and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was pretty good. It was a great promo. I thought that was really good. Solo Sikoa, I'm a big fan of his now. He definitely turned me into a fan within the past couple weeks, and there's something up to this guy, man. This is a guy, he's a key part in the storyline you might have to keep an eye on. Why? I can't give you a reason, but I can tell you he's definitely a key part to watch. And his bloodline feud. Okay, so about the next match, Bobby Lashley versus Bronson Reed. The winner, no contest. Apparently Lashley lifts Reed up, but Reed pushes Lashley into the ring post. The ref count to 10. Both men are disqualified. There's that. Okay. After that, out comes the American Nightmare. Whoa! Cody Rhodes. And I tell you what, it was a hell of a promo. I love the promo. Why did I love this Cody Rhodes promo? Well, this promo was phenomenal. This promo had a little bit of everything. He came out and told the crowd, you know what? I'm sorry to you, the fans, that I failed you. I know you're still a little upset, still pissed off that I never got my final ending story at WrestleMania against Roman Reigns. I'm sorry that I didn't, what's that word? I didn't give the fans the proper ending that they wanted. I failed you. Pretty much what Cody was saying in this promo. But I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep moving. And as long as I had the fans along with me, we're going to do this together as a team. And that's what I liked about this Cody Rhodes promo. But before we move on back to the championship picture, we have a roadblock. That roadblock is Brock Lesnar. And he challenged Brock Lesnar to a match at Backlash in Puerto Rico coming up in a couple weeks. So we'll have to wait and see if Brock will accept this challenge or not. So maybe we'll find out next Monday on Raw. So that was a hell of a promo. I enjoyed this promo with Cody Rhodes giving us a little bit of hope. So we'll kind of see where the storyline's going to head to. Maybe SummerSlam, that's in a couple months in August. Maybe it'll hold it off to WrestleMania in Philadelphia. Next April 2024. We'll have to wait and see. All right, up next, the Usos versus the Alpha Academy. Again, I'm not a big fan of the Alpha Academy. Chad Gables looks like a star, but get rid of this stupid shush gimmick. I'm pretty sure there can be people or fans of it, but I'm not a big fan of it. I'll tell you that right now. So there was a point in the match where Chad Gable goes for the ankle lock onto Jimmy, but he gets out of it. Jay is tagged in, and Gable goes in for the rolling German suplex, but the Usos hit him with a double super kick party. Sorry, that was the Young Bucks. But they get the 1D on the Gable, and Jable goes for the cover and gets the pin, and the winners of the match, the Usos. There we go, folks. The Usos beat the Alpha Academies. Thank God. Okay, let's move on to the triple threat match. Io Sky with Bayley and Dakota in a triple threat match. Yeah, well, let's see what's going on here. Well, in this match, so what happened was I left my curling iron on in the bathroom, so I kind of stepped away during this match, and I tried to avoid a house fire, so by the time I came back, the match was ended. The winner of the match, Io Sky. So I'll apologize. Next time, I'll make sure my curling iron is unplugged. Okay, let's move on to the next match. The main event, Kevin Owens versus Solo Sikoa. So we had a Solo Sikoa versus Sami Zayn this past Friday on SmackDown. If you heard my Friday night my Friday night episode on SmackDown, of course, and AEW Rampage Battle of the Belts. Go check it out if you haven't heard it yet. But this Monday Night Raw main event, we had Kevin Owens KO versus Solo Sikoa. It was a great match. Not too shabby for a main event. Finally, we get a Raw main event that's not a talking main event. It's a legit match. And I got to say, both men look great in the ring. There was a point in the ring where Kevin Owens climbed to the second rope, but Solo headbutted him down. That was a very impressive move right there. Owens gets up and throws Solo off the top rope. Very dangerous. As the match got close to the very end, Solo gets up, he goes for the stunner, but Jimmy distracts the referee, of course, cheating. Jay hits him with the super kick, Solo with the Samoan spike. He goes for the cover and gets the pin. So a massive win for Solo Sikoa by defeating Kevin Owens due to referee distraction. So the Bloodline celebrates and they stop down Kevin Owens. So now it's a 3-on-1 beatdown. Apparently there was a backstage camera and they show Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle running through the parking lot. There was reports that there were a lot of wrestlers never made it to Raw due to travel issues. I'm not sure what's going on over in Seattle. I'm not sure if it's a storm or what the hell it is, but apparently there was a lot of talent that couldn't get there on time. And Paul Heyman said in his promo midway in Raw this past Monday, stating that, hey, Riddle and Sami Zayn are not here, so there will no way be part of this main event or get interference. Well, sure enough, they were running through the parking lot, so I assume they probably got stuck somewhere in an expressway and just took on running, I guess. How the hell they got to the arena? Who knows? Maybe they paid extra couple bucks to a pilot to make a light landing in the arena parking lot. I don't know. I'm just making shit up here. But Sami Zayn, music hits and both men start running out. Riddle hits Sikoa Solo with a double clothesline, throwing him to the outside of the ring. Jay gets in the ring and Sami Zayn with the exploder. Jimmy gets in the ring and Owens hit him with a stunner. Zayn goes for the hell of a kick on Jay, but Solo drags him out just in the nick of time for he got his head chopped off from Sami Zayn. So Raw goes off air. Raw is over. Raw is over means rip up my notes. Raw, you know what? Hell with it. Two of it. Two Raw rip on my damn notes. Raw is over. All right, let's talk about All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. This past Wednesday, April 12th of 2023, live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the UW Milwaukee Panther Arena. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Yeah, I can't do the Excalibur voice. Maybe I'd put a mask on and see if I could do the voice. Okay, first match to kick off the show, and it was a hell of a match. Darby Allin versus Swerve Strickland. So Swerve Strickland got a little beef with Darby Allin. This was a hell of a match. This match was brutal. This match was fast. This match had a little bit of everything. But the highlight in this match is when both men were on the apron. All right, on the apron, outside of the ropes on the ring. And Darby Allin did like I don't know what the hell was it, but it was like a reverse hurricanrana. Man, I watched it. I'm like, dude, these guys are gonna like freaking annihilate each other. I mean, this match was not only
risky, but which is also insane. But nonetheless, this match was just phenomenal. The winner? Well, the winner of the match was Darby Allin. Hell of a match. So right after the match, out comes MJF. The AEW World Heavyweight Champion Maxwell Jacob Friedman came out, grabbed the mic, cut a promo, telling the Milwaukee crowd they still suck. Typical MJF. He's pretty much saying to Darby Allin, you have a daddy daycare. You have Sting. You will never become a world champion. You never will be up to my level. Sure enough, out comes the Icon Sting. Yes, the Icon Sting came out to the ring, and I tell you what, this is one of the best damn AEW Sting promo I have seen and heard in the AEW history with Sting in it, of course. Not in Sting's career, but within the AEW period with Sting in it. It's probably the one best promo, because you hardly hear Sting on the mic. So it's great to hear Sting to cut a promo, and it was just phenomenal. He pretty much shut up MJF. And what he did was, hey, it's okay. Darby Allin's my best friend. He shadows me, just like Cody. And I love when the crowd popped. The crowd was like, ooh, he just said Cody on air. Cody Rhodes over there in WWE. Hint, hint. Yeah, he brought up Cody. He's like, yeah, you were in Cody's shadow, so don't even start about this whole daddy daycare camp. You were in the Cody daycare camp. And MJF was like furious. And Sting brought up, you know what? My daddy daycare camp was Ric Flair when I started in the pro wrestling industry. Then I moved on, started up the Wolfpack, NWO, Too Sweet, rest in peace Scott Hall, the legendary big sexy Kevin Nash, and Sting was cutting his promo like he was going through a career journey with the fans. And my thoughts. I mentioned it was a great promo, but is Sting teasing something here? Will we get a final retirement match sooner than later? We'll have to wait and see what the Icon Sting's plan on doing in the near future in ring. But he also said, my world champion picture and my career is over, but Darby Allin is just about to begin. So I love that. Not only Sting cut an amazing promo, but he brought in a young talent, which is Darby Allin, the next superstar, the next Sting. Darby Allin. It's a hell of a promo. And typical MJF spits into Darby Allin's face, and a little confrontation, and the typical heel fashion, MJF rolled out of the ring and walked away. So, explosive start to All Elite Wrestling Dynamite this past Wednesday, April the 12th of 2023. All right, and next match, and this one a little ticked me off here, folks. Why is that, G? Well, yeah, the TNT Championship match between Silas Young, keyword Silas Young, versus the TNT Champion Powerhouse Hobbs. And a squash match. I have a problem with that. Yes, Silas Young is a Milwaukee native, but do you need to bury him? Do you need to squash him in a match? Can you get anybody else in the independent scene in the Midwest or Milwaukee that could be squashed by Powerhouse Hobbs? Come on, I like Silas Young. That's just me. But as I mentioned, Powerhouse Hobbs squashed Silas Young and beat him 1-2-3 for the win. Now, after the match, a camera was backstage, and there was Wardlow holding up a metal bat or metal pipe, and right next to him was Powerhouse Hobbs' muscle car. Apparently, his muscle car was parked near the street outside of the arena. Wardlow decided to smash his windows. Smash each window, front shield, passenger side window, driver's side window. Wardlow's like, you know what? I'm not done with this car. So what he does, Wardlow hops on the forklift and lift up the car. And my favorite part in this segment, which was when Wardlow hopped off the forklift, but he forgot to put it in the park, and the forklift just started keeping on moving forward. But nonetheless, man, it was that was my thought on this segment. I was like, I really care for it. All right, let's move on forward. This is for the AEW International Championship match. The AEW World Trios Champion Buddy Matthews versus the AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy. It was a solid match. I'm a big fan of Buddy Matthews every time he comes out each and every week. He's a hell of a physique. He's a very awesome wrestler to watch in the ring. I hear people want him out of the House of Black as a singles wrestler. But again, that's just what other people's opinions are. But I'm a big fan of Buddy Matthews. Orange Cassidy, I mean, I don't know. His gimmick, it's just, I don't know. Just not for me, I guess. It's whatever. But it was a solid match, a little storytelling in the match. Obviously, Buddy Matthews throughout the match was trying to take out Orange Cassidy's right hand or left hand, one of his hands. He was trying to step on it, and when Orange Cassidy gave his orange punch to Buddy Matthews right in the face. He thought a tooth flew out of his mouth, and apparently that hit was so hard that apparently Orange Cassidy's hand felt like it was broken. And throughout the match, Buddy Matthews trying to use the hand as a weak point to slow him down. But with all those stopping points throughout the match, Orange Cassidy managed to pull out a victory by defeating Buddy Matthews and retain the AEW International Champion. So how about that? All right, after that, we had another promo of Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. And all they said in the promo was some things have changed. That's it. So we'll have to wait and see how this will pan out in the near future. We got that going on. All right, here's another segment I almost didn't give a crap about. Ethan Page, I can't speak today. Ethan Page called out Matt Hardy. When I saw this, I was ready about to change the channel or walk away. And I'm like, okay, what's the point of this match? Do we really need it? And, so apparently there's a match went down. Not really a match, but it became a beatdown because Matt Hardy came out and he got jumped. Got jumped by Ethan Page, Lee Moriarty, Big Bill. Everybody started jumping Matt Hardy. Now, in my mind, okay, as I was watching this live on TV, I was like, man, this would be a great spot for Jeff Hardy to come out. But deep back in my mind, I was like, man, is it too soon to Jeff to come back? Is he mentally prepared to come back after all this, rehab, addiction issues he had? He got his license suspended. It could have turned out bad for Jeff Hardy. Jail time. And all of a sudden, Hook music came out. The son of Taz, Hook, the FTW champion. He came out to save Matt Hardy. I'm like, all right, well, I guess he came out. Like, this segment's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be whatever for me within a couple seconds. All of a sudden, they're doing a beatdown on Hook and doing a beatdown on Matt Hardy. So now both men are getting jumped. I'm like, okay, well, this is how this segment's gonna end. All of a sudden, suddenly, the Hardy Boys music started playing. And I'm like, hold on, Matt Hardy's in the ring. Why is the entrance song playing? Don't tell me Jeff is really coming back. And sure enough, out comes Jeff Hardy with a chair. And I'm like, holy crap, Jeff is really here. In my mind, I'm like, this is no way he'll come back. And I was happy. I won't lie to you. The crowd popped. And he came down to the ring with a chair and scared everybody away. And watching the Hardy Boys hugged in the ring, a special moment in Milwaukee. Now, my question is to you, the listeners, is it too little early? Is it too early for Jeff Hardy to come back? What you think? Maybe does he need a little bit more time? Kind of rethink about his actions he did. Now, again, do you think he will fall off the wagon again and fall right back into the addictions? No, from my understanding, I thought he lost his license, or at least suspended. Does that mean that Matt Hardy will be doing a 24-hour watch on him on the road? We'll have to wait and see. Not sure how things are planned out behind the scenes. If Tony Khan feels comfortable with Jeff being back on the road, or if there's certain criterias or certain restrictions for Jeff, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I was really surprised at how quick Jeff came back. But he's back on TV, so it's good to see Jeff back on TV. All right, we saw a segment of Kenny Omega sitting on a couch, apparently at his home, I guess. I don't know, hotel, Airbnb, saying that he support the doctors and their help and, the issues between the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club. Apparently, it sounded like Kenny Omega wasn't at the arena. Like, okay, well, we have a match in the main event not in the main event, but coming up shortly between Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli versus Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa. So Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler representing the Elite with nobody around their side versus the Blackpool Combat Club. It's an all right match. No, Jon Moxley didn't bleed first thing we got in the ring. This time was Michael Nakazawa was the first person to bleed. Well, how this match ended? Well, this match ended in chaos, forcing the ref to call for the bell, and it was a no contest. Only suddenly, it was a Blackpool Combat Club beatdown on Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler. Now, remember, I told you Kenny Omega wasn't at the arena. Well, now the beatdown was going down in the ring on Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa. Out comes Kenny Omega. Apparently he was at the arena. He came out walking down the ramp, but he stopped midway, and right when the Blackpool Combat Club was watching Kenny, out behind them was the Young Bucks. And the Young Bucks made their return. And when the Blackpool Combat Club turned around, it became a super kick party. So not only we get the Jeff Hardy return, but we also got the Elite made their return back last night to come back and save Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler. There was a point in this segment where Kenny Omega had a screwdriver and he was about to stab Moxley in the face. Apparently the screwdriver got stuck in the turnbuckle. I guess a little payback from the Hangman Adam Page stabbing coming from Bryan Danielson last week. I'm not sure why that's not funny. Somebody gets stabbed in the face is mean. Absolutely mean. Not nice. All right. Up next, we had a women's match between Riho and Sky Blue versus the Outcast, which is Ruby Soho and Toni Storm. Well, I left my Hot Pocket in the microwave and exploded, so I had to get up and go clean it. By the time I came back, the match was over. And the winner of the match was Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. Okay, the main event of Dynamite. Chris Jericho versus Keith Lee. So that was a decent match for a main event, right? Well, apparently you had Daniel Garcia decided to rush into the ring to distract the ref, the Jericho Appreciation Society, allowing a masked person that looked familiar to attack Keith Lee. Now, this masked person was no other than Swerve Strickland. So, yes, Swerve lost to Darby Allin. Swerve cut a promo backstage stating that he has one more finished business he needs to do. Well, apparently his finished business was to attack his former tag team partner, Keith Lee, behind the ref's back in a mask. Well, Jericho slowly, gingerly gets the cover and just barely getting a pin for the win. And the winner of the match, Chris Jericho. So that's how AEW Dynamite finished up. By the way, the ratings came in today, of course. And apparently Dynamite averaged 866,000 viewers on TBS, which is down 1.3% from last week. So there you go, folks. AEW Dynamite. And before I end the show, man, there's been a lot of reports of CM Punk wanting to return back to AEW. Now, apparently there's been a report from FightfulSelect.com, also from Sean Ross Sapp, reporting that CM Punk wants to return this summer, and the time frame is around June. Apparently last night on Dynamite, well, I don't think it's on Dynamite, it was on social media, it was announced that AEW will return to Chicago June 22nd. That's the go-home show before the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, which is going down in Canada. I believe in Toronto. Remember, Punk missed out Forbidden Door last year due to an injury. Maybe we'll get a CM Punk at Forbidden Door too. Maybe at Tanahashi. Maybe we'll get an Okada versus Punk. We'll have to wait and see, but there's been talks. June time frame for CM Punk. Nothing's been confirmed, is only a rumor, according to Sean Ross Sapp and FightfulSelect.com. And I'll leave it at that. All right, let's kick off the show. Talk about WWE SmackDown, and went down April 14th, 2023, live from the Pinnacle Bake Arena in Lincoln, Nebraska. WWE presents Friday Night SmackDown. So the show kicks off with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn walking down to the ring, cutting a promo, of course, and they promised they were going to defend the undisputed tag team titles, of course, but they knew they were going to defend the titles against the Usos in a rematch. Well, sure enough, out comes the Usos and Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa. Paul Heyman cut a promo stating, you know what? Yes, you guys will put your titles on the line. Tag team titles to be exact, and you will defend them 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I believe it's on SmackDown or Raw. Either way, they're gonna defend them in 2 weeks in the main event, which I believe is on SmackDown. And eventually, it was gonna become a 3-on-2 gang beatdown as the Usos were making their way down the ring, and out comes Riddle. Matt Riddle comes out through the crowd, start attacking the Usos to make it even 3-on-3, and all the heels scatter the way. So that's the opening segment to kick off SmackDown. All right, the first match on WWE SmackDown, April the 14th edition of 2023. We had seen LA Knight versus Xavier Woods. And that was a decent match to kick off SmackDown, of course. There was a highlight in the match where Xavier Woods run to the ropes, but LA Knight's with a slam, but LA Knight runs into the ropes and hit him with a big elbow. LA Knight with a waist lock as he rolls up Woods with the tights, but the referee sees it and doesn't make the count. That distracts LA Knight as he LA Knight rolls the tight and gets the pin. Not the person I want to win. By the way, Xavier Woods won the match. I was hoping LA Knight get this big push and a win, but he fell short. All right, there was a backstage segment between Matt Riddle, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn is telling Matt Riddle, hey, don't be part of our situation between the bloodline. We don't need you to get in more danger than what it is. You've been out since last December and you were attacked by Solo Sikoa. As Sami Zayn told Matt Riddle, and Kevin Owens is like, I mean, if you want to join us, go ahead, but it's going to be very brutal. It's going to be very dangerous. So that sums up the whole backstage segment. All right, we had a in-ring promo segment with the Judgment Day with Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, and Dominic. Pretty much Damian Priest cut a promo stating that, telling Bad Bunny, you know, if you want to interfere in our matches and be in the front row, be prepared to come after you again. Backlash is coming up in a couple weeks, and that pretty much sums up the promo. And out comes LWO, Latino World Order, and eventually that led into a match between Santos Escobar with LWO versus Damian Priest with Judgment Day. Some of the highlights in the match here: Santos Escobar with a suicide dive onto Damian Priest outside of the ring, which was very impressive. He throws Priest back into the ring as Rhea grabs Escobar's leg, trying to cheat here. Zelina throws Rhea's face first into the barricade. Damian Priest comes out with the South of Heaven onto Santos Escobar, goes for the cover and gets the win. So, of course, the winner of the match, Damian Priest. After the ring, Damian Priest grabs Santos Escobar on the outside of the ring as Rey Mysterio music plays. Out comes Rey Mysterio, jumps Damian Priest off the barricade. So Rey Mysterio went through the crowd and jumped off the barricades, attacking Damian Priest. I don't know. I thought that segment was a little, I don't know, I hate using the word fake, but you could tell something was going down because Damian Priest, he was looking into the crowd a little too early, and you could tell something was about to happen. But off camera, again, watching it on TV, seeing Rey Mysterio jumping from the barricades through the crowd onto Damian Priest, you knew something was going to happen. You could tell this was pre-planned. After that, Rey Mysterio attacks Damian Priest, and he got into the ring, squared off of his son, Dominic Mysterio, in the ring. Eventually, he trips Dominic Mysterio onto the ropes to set up for a 619, but Rhea Ripley came in to save Dominic before he was ready to get hit by 619 by his father, Ray. All right, after this, there was a backstage segment with Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and the Usos. Pretty much this whole segment was Solo Sikoa was going to take care of this Matt Riddle issues with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So that pretty much sums up backstage. Okay, afterwards, we had a WWE Tag Team Champion celebration with Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. They came out and raised the championships in the air. Pyro's going off. Became a big celebration. Sure enough, out comes Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. And eventually, all four women were locked up in the ring. It was supposed to be a celebration, but it decided to be a women's fight fest, and that's where I started hitting my fast forward on my DVR. Okay, up next we have a match between Madcap Moss versus the returning Shinsuke Nakamura. This match was pretty solid. It's great to see Shinsuke back on the ring, of course. It was a quick match. I believe it was less than 5 minutes. Nakamura with the kick on Madcap Moss as he placed Madcap on the second rope, hits him with the released German suplex. Nakamura was on the second rope and hit Madcap Moss with a flying knee kick. Nakamura hit him with a Kinshasa, the finishing move, as he goes for the pin and gets the win. So Shinsuke Nakamura wins his first match returning back to the WWE. So how about that? After that, we did a segment between Scarlett Bordeaux and Karrion Kross. They said, "TikTok, we're coming for you, Shinsuke Nakamura." So we might see a Killer Kross versus or Karrion Kross, not Killer Kross. It's from MLW. Karrion Kross versus Shinsuke Nakamura, potentially in the near future. Okay, so we're going to have the main event of SmackDown. Matt Riddle with KO, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn versus Solo Sikoa. And alongside with Solo, we have the Usos and Paul Heyman. So it was a solid match between Matt Riddle and Solo Sikoa. Obviously, you have the Usos trying to get interfered in this match with the ref not looking. You also have KO and Sami Zayn trying to interfere in this match. Eventually, both sides were fighting outside of the ring while Matt Riddle and Solo Sikoa was fighting in the ring. Eventually, the ref ejected both KO and Sami Zayn and the Usos backstage. They all fought their way backstage, so that was out the way. As the match got closer to the end, Matt Riddle climbs to the top rope. He jumps, but Solo with a super kick. Solo brought out the Samoan Spike, goes for the cover, and gets a win. So Solo Sikoa defeated Matt Riddle. After the match, Solo Sikoa brought out Matt Riddle to the outside of the ring. Eventually, he tossed him over the announce table, and then Solo Sikoa decided to tip the announce table over Matt Riddle and trapped him. So that's how SmackDown ended, with Solo Sikoa not only trapped Matt Riddle, but also defeated him in the main event. So there was your WWE SmackDown that went down this past Friday, April the 14th. Speaking of April the 14th, AEW Rampage went down following the NBA playoffs. Of course, Rampage was taped from Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the UW Milwaukee Panther Arena. The show kicks off between the IWGP Tag Team Championship between Best Friends versus the current IWGP Tag Team Champions, Aussie Open. So the show kicks off with a lot of chaos between both teams. The things got settled down. As the match got closer to the very end, Trent Beretta tries to fight, but after getting caught with a pickup pile driver by Mark Davis. Moments later, Aussie Open brought out the Chlorisis for the win, which was their finishing move, and retained the IWGP Tag Team Champions. So not too shabby of an opening match for AEW Rampage, with Aussie Open retaining the IWGP World Tag Team Champions. Up next, we have FTR cutting a promo in the ring, addressing their future. So, FTR confirmed to the crowd that they signed a 4-year contract with AEW. And after their 4-year contract is up with AEW, they're considering not wrestling anymore. And fans were a little disappointed that they were planning on retiring after their 4 years. But FTR promised to give back to the fans, and they have a lot to prove within the next 4 years. So there we have it, folks. All right, we had a backstage segment with the returning Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, the Hardy brothers, with Hook and Isaiah Cassidy from Private Party. And they cut a promo backstage stating that they were taking no crap with the Firm, which is with Stokely Hathaway and Big Bill and the rest of the team, Ethan Page. And apparently they want to have a match with them, but not in the wrestling ring. Apparently the Hardys wants to do a match against the Firm faction at the Hardys compound. So apparently they're bringing back the Hardys compound and having a match on the, obviously, Matt Hardy's property at home. I'm not looking forward to see this match. After what happened last time at the Hardys compound, well, yeah, I turned off the TV really quick, so I don't think I want to see this match. I'm telling you that right now. All right, for the next match on AEW Rampage, April 14th edition of 2023 on TNT, we had an 8-man tag team match between Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Mark Briscoe, and Satnam Singh versus, I'm laughing at this, Man Scout Jake Manning and the Spanish Announce Project. Yeah, I got no comment on this. Yeah, it was a very embarrassing, but long story short, the winner of the match was Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Mark Briscoe, and Satnam Singh. That's it. I'm not going to even bother to talk about this match. Up next, we had Taya Valkyrie versus Emi Sakura. At this point, I left the stove on to the kitchen, so I got up and went to go turn it off, and I came back and this match ended. The winner of the match, Taya Valkyrie. Okay, we got to the main event of AEW Rampage on TNT. Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus the returning Shawn Spears. And at this point, my DVR cut off due to the NBA playoffs, so the time slot was a little late for Rampage. But for the winner of the main event of AEW Rampage this past Friday, April 14th, Jungle Boy Jack Perry defeated Shawn Spears on the main event of Rampage. So there's your up-to-date results of matches on AEW Rampage this past April 14th of 2023. Okay, very quickly, let's go through the results of New Japan Pro Wrestling Capital Collision 2023. I haven't had a chance to watch this past Saturday, but it was live from Washington, D.C. at the Entertainment and Sports Arena. It was broadcast for New Japan World streaming services for outside the United States. Here in the United States, we had it on pay-per-view on Fight TV. So very quickly, I'll give you the card and who won. So the pre-show, we seen TMDK defeated the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Gabriel Kidd, Kevin Knight, and Kushida, Mike Bailey, and Valador Jr. defeated Clark Connors, the DKC, and Chaos in a 10-man tag team match. By the way, a new Bullet Club member has joined the club, of course. Apparently, David Finlay invited Clark Connors to be part of his version of the Bullet Club. All right, we had David Finlay defeated AR Fox. Zack Sabre Jr., the New Japan Pro Wrestling World TV Champion, defended the title and defeated Tom Lawler to retain the World Television Champion. Tomohiro Ishii defeated El Desperado. That probably was an awesome match. Fred Rosser versus Juice Robinson ended in a no contest, while just 5 guys, which is Sanada and a Kanemaru, defeated Los Incorralables de Japón, which is Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito. Kenta defeated Eddie Edwards to retain the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Championship. And then for the main event, how about this? Aussie Open defeated the Motor City Machine Guns, who walked out as the champion, and Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kushika Okada in a 3-way tag team match for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Tag Team Champions. So Aussie Open are the new champions, and they are currently the double New Japan Tag Team Heavyweight Champions and New Japan Strong Open Heavyweight Champions. So they're double tag team champions in New Japan. So how about that? All right, let's talk about Impact Wrestling Rebellion, which is going on April 16th when this podcast should be released and out. So I will give you guys the results in a couple days, but I'll give you guys the preview, and the card is going down in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Impact Wrestling presents Rebellion. Now, I'm not sure this will be on Fight TV or not, but check it out if it is or not. So here is the card for Impact Wrestling Rebellion 2023. So we have Heath and Rhino versus Champagne Sane and Shera in a tag team match. Also another pre-show match, we have the Coven, which is Kylie King and Taylor Wilde, the current champions, versus the Death Dolls, which comprise of Jessica and Rosemary. So this is for the Impact Knockout World Tag Team Champions. All right, so also on the show, we have the vacant Impact World Championship match between Kushida and Steve Macklin. So this could be an interesting match here. If I had to pick one, why not give it to the time splitter Kushida? All right, we also have a vacant Impact Knockouts champion. By the way, Mickie James, she announced she is dropping the Impact Knockout champion due to her injury. So she's dropping the title, and she's going to have the title on vacant between Jordan Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo. If anybody's going to win it, I hope Deonna wins that title. It's going to be my pick. All right, we have a 10-wrestler hardcore war. It's going to be interesting. Team Tommy Dreamer, which is Tommy Dreamer, Bhupinder Gunjar, Frankie Kazarian, and Killer Kelly, and Yuya Uemura versus Team Bully, which is Bully Ray, Brian Myers, Kenny King, Masha Slamovich, and Moose. So a collective of wrestlers and both teams. If I had to pick a team that's going to win, I'm going to go for my boy, Tommy Dreamer, and his team. Okay, up next we have a three-way elimination match for the Impact X Division Championship. Trey Miguel, the current champion, versus Jonathan Gresham versus Mike Bailey. It's going to be a good match. It's going to be a lot of high-flying, fast-paced style of X Division match. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to pick for Trey Miguel to retain the X Division champion. Up next, we have a Ultimate X match for the Impact World Tag Team Champions. Bullet Club, Ace Austin and Chris Bay, the current champions, versus the Motor City Machine Guns, which comprise of Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. So look, fans know Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin are the kings of the Ultimate X. They've been part of Impact Wrestling / TNA for years. I think 20 plus years by now. So these guys are no strangers to the X Division style match. Will the Bullet Club drop the X Division Impact Wrestling champions? Well, that's going to be an interesting one. But if I had to pick one, again, Motor City Machine Guns lost the strong New Japan Championship last night on Capital Collision. Now, can Motor City Machine Guns win the Impact Tag Team titles? Potentially. So I'm going to go for the Motor City Machine Guns since they have the experience and they're veterans within the X Division style match. All right, we have a 6-man tag team match between Dirty Dango, Joe Hendry, and Santino Marilla versus Design, which is Diener, Angels, and Callahan. Well, I'm just going to have to pick one out of the hat and pick Team Dirty Dango for just the hell of it. All right, the last match on the pay-per-view for Impact Wrestling Rebellion, April 16th, 2023, PCO versus Eddie Edwards in a last rights match. What is the last rights match? Well, apparently the last rights match in Impact Wrestling is a variation where a casket is lowered into the center of the ring, and the object is to get your opponent into the casket, which is raised to the ceiling following the match. Very interesting. The first last rage match was done between Sting and The Abyss. Vince Russo came up with this match. Are you surprised? Okay, well, if I had to pick one, man, I don't know, man. I like PCO, the Frankenstein, versus Eddie Edwards. Well, I'm just going to, again, pick a name out of hat, and I'm going to go for the winner, PCO. Why not, right? Okay, there's your preview and card matches for Impact Wrestling Rebellion going down April 16th on pay-per-view, live 8 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, we got you all caught up in all pro wrestling news. Again, if you made it this far, give me a subscribe button right here on the podcast feed for listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. By the way, if you're a fan of hard rock and heavy metal and classic rock, I also have a secondary podcast called A Lesson in Headbanging Podcast. Yeah, that's right. We talk about all things hard rock and roll. If you're fans from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, up to today's modern rock, this is the podcast for you. A Lesson in Headbanging Podcast is available on all major podcasting outlets like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Give me a subscribe to that podcast feed today. Until next time, my friends.